Here we go. Right, everyone. Welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. The preview show where the Boks have won it. They've done it. 4 Rugby World Cups. They've done back-to-back. They're the first nation to win it 4 times. It is unbelievable. Without Jacques Currie, they've been phenomenal. It is huge by 1 point. Rudy, tell me how you're feeling, boy.
My brother, it was a nail-biting affair right in that last 10 minutes. When New Zealand scored that try, I was like, oh my Lord, are we in for something again? We had the quarterfinal, we had the semi-final by 1 point, but we said, you know what? We'll do the final by 1 point. South Africa are world champions. Simply sensational!
Fucking sensational! Sorry, I just can't help it. That is absolutely true. South Africa, the first nation to go 4 World Cups. 4 World Cups. That's it. Back-to-back champs, but 4 World Cups. My goodness, what a final we were treated to. By 1 point again, the Boks digging deep, finding a way to win. Ladies and gents, thank you for your comments in the chat. What a phenomenal final we've just been witness to. It is unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable, and it's going to take a bit of time until I can actually collect my thoughts, because to be honest with you guys, there have been a few brandies and cokes consumed, but that was needed to go through. So thank you so much for your comments in chat. We've got Miss Mayhem saying that was awesome. We've got Lazy Coco saying Boka, 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 Boka. Rian van Veek, thanks for being French English fans. Thanks, New Zealand. You're always awesome. Absolutely. I think we have to say credit to New Zealand, right? I mean, they turned up to play. What a phenomenal final. With 14 men on the pitch for majority of the game, that is a phenomenal effort from them. But it doesn't matter about New Zealand. It is the Springboks who are victorious in Rugby World Cup 2023. It is huge, ladies and gents. It is massive. Thank you for your comments of support. We see there Joyce Naidu saying, well done, Boka. It is huge. The human chapter saying 2027 for the 5th one. Can you imagine the scenes? And I don't doubt you. With the players we have in the bank, it could be huge. Absolutely huge. So I'm not sure, ladies and gents, where Ruse has gone. I'm going to check if he's there so we can make sure, because we still have to get through. We still have to get through the player ratings. I'm not sure how we're going to do this, to go through these player ratings when we want such a high, but let's just enjoy the moment. Fantastic. We thank you all so much for being subscribers and joining us here on Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. So thank you guys for joining Stevie P on that watch along, that epic watch along, and thank you for coming through to the final review here. It is going to be phenomenal. Carman saying there, we're going to win the next World Cup. I promise you, Carman. I'm holding that to you, man. Thank you so much, guys. Yo, welcome. My name's Wes. I don't think I said that at all, but you're still here with us on the preview show where we're gonna try and break that game down, and we're gonna try and have a look at the players and give them scores. It is unbelievable. I'm here in Botswana, trying to give you, I'm getting calls from the Forever Sports team here, the group call. It's going nuts. It is huge. I'm watching with colleagues from work. They are starting to sing and shout. It is huge. This is a win for Southern Africa. We're here in Botswana. It is absolutely massive. It is the Boks for 4-time champions. Huge. Sia and his men have done it. They've found a way to win. They've dug deep and they've done it. Absolutely massive. Fireworks, as you say, comment. Fireworks all over Africa. It is going to be huge. It is going to be massive. It is just going to be one of the greatest World Cups. It has to be. It has been phenomenal. The Springboks arguably with the toughest run in the World Cup, facing, the top, I think Angus put out a fantastic stat there. The top teams in the world, and coming out on top. The Bokke are the greatest team. This has undoubtedly shown that. It is phenomenal. What a final. We could not have asked for more. I don't know how I'm going to come down from this. It is just too big. It's too big. My heart, it is just unbelievable. Let's try to find some of your chat here saying, Box win remind me of, let's see, here's Joe. Box win remind me of Road of Argentina winning the FIFA World Cup. Congratulations. I'll go eat my lamb, humble pie. Right, Joe, we appreciate that. We appreciate the shout outs. It has been unbelievable. It's been massive. Trying to find where Rudy and Steve are because I want them here with us. So let's see if we can get it. As I said, I'm coming to you from the Delta, so apologies if the signal's a bit weak. But ladies and gents, what a fun. I can hear the singing from outside. The Motswana are singing for the Bokke, for Sia and his men. It is unbelievable. We have sprung it home once again. I cannot imagine the scenes in South Africa. They must be huge. They must be massive. It is undoubtedly one of the best wins in a World Cup. England 2019 was a dismantling of that team, and it was a phenomenal final. But this was nail-biting. This was the greatest sports rivalry ever. And it was New Zealand, South Africa, and South Africa coming out on top. Phenomenal from the box. As I said earlier, credit to the All Blacks. Rudy, I think you are back here with me. I'm going to add you to the stage there. Rudy, sorry, but glad to have you back here. I've just been talking about how fantastic that World Cup win was. Rudy, try to sum up your thoughts, brother. Let me know what you're thinking.
Brother, to be honest with you, there was the moments in the game where we were panicking. We were stressing our hearts out, especially when New Zealand scored that try. I think South Africa had 1 foot on the brake pedal just to be sure that they can get over the line. But in terms of South Africa's belief in the last scrum, everyone, I think, in the whole of South Africa, no matter if you are in South Africa or if you're across the world, you would have been supporting that oxen chest scrum just to get through it so that we can find those 5 seconds. 80 minutes is down and we get the ball out. And for the 1 point victory, I think it has to be said, to do it 3 times in a row. I don't know if any other team has ever done it. I don't think any other team would ever do it. And for that, I have to say, congratulations to the Springboks. It was simply sensational. For a minute, I just want to bring in a former provincial fly-off here, Carlo Espeling. He's at the game with me. We were watching together. What are your thoughts, my brother?
I've only got one thought. And if you want to do player ratings, leave it. There's only one player rating you got to do tonight. And that is give a 10 out of 10 to Kwagga freaking Smith.
Yeah,
Thank
boy.
you.
Simply sensational there. Wonderful
Sensational.
from Carlo Espeling. Wesley, I'll give it over to you, brother. I'm still ecstatic as we speak.
Rudy, my boy, thank you so much. And the guest appearance there, phenomenal. Thank you so much. Absolutely. Kwagga Smith, unbelievable. Without Jacques Fourie, sensational. As you said, Rudy, simply sensational. It's been phenomenal. What a performance by the Boks. Guys, we love your comments in the chat there. Keep it coming. Let's see. Absolutely. Nkwetse M says, please, President Ramaphosa, declare a holiday this weekend. We have to, surely, for the first team to win 4 Rugby World Cups. It is the Springboks. It is arguably the best rugby playing nation in the world. Without a doubt, we are the greatest. It has been confirmed by the finals. It is fantastic. Slayer 2000 saying greatest Rugby World Cup nation in the history of mankind. I agree with you, Slayer 2000. Absolutely unbelievable. Mono Duplessis, go Bokke, yes. Ladies and gents, my heart, my Apple Watch is still telling me to calm down. It's saying you're not doing anything, but your heart rate is 140 beats per minute. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Rudy, I don't know how we're going to come down from this. I don't know how we're going to bring this back and try go through teams objectively, but we will do our best. But tell me, Rudy, as you said, when New Zealand scored that try, that was arguably one of the most frightening moments for a Springbok supporter. What else in your mind, though? When did you feel like the game was potentially swinging back to the All Blacks?
I think for the sake of that All Blacks try, for them to be 14 men, 1 man down with the red card, just okay, and being so close in terms of the scoreline, they would have had that little bit of motivation that they still in the game. So when they scored that try, I think for South Africa, we had our heads in our hearts, I guess our hearts in our mouth, for example, when Jason Colby got that yellow card, because it almost felt like kind of the momentum was swinging. But I think for the All Blacks, having that 1 man down and then scoring and being within range, it was just a little bit unsettling. But I didn't lose the belief in South Africa. I think the forwards that came off the bench did well. But I think that early substitution with Bongi and Bonambi also impacted the way we would have liked to use the bench. But for the most part, 1 point victory, 3 weeks in a row, I think it's phenomenal. And we have to give credit to Jacques Nienaber and the Springboks for something simply sensational.
Absolutely, Roots. Absolutely, simply sensational. I mean, you speak about that Bongi substitute so early on, and Dion Fourie, having to fill a role that he possibly wasn't meant to fill. Probably was meant to come on as a flanker, late into the second half or early into the second half. But him coming on hooker early on and playing the game, it was like, we have to mention from Daniel Dewar, though, saying, "Get in, boys, insanity." Thank you so much for the constant coverage, everyone at Forever Sports. Where's the beard? Brought back the luck. Get in. Guys, I'll take it at this point, whether it's the beard, whether it's the mustache, I'll shave, whatever. You let me know, and it's going to get shaved. Daniel, thank you so much for your super chat, mate. We really appreciate it there. Check that. That is absolute support from the Forever Sports community. We love you here on Forever Sports, guys. Thank you so much. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel or you've liked the video. Fantastic, Daniel. We love your work. But Roots, absolutely. I think, potentially when Bongi went off early, I think everyone was starting to panic. Even though we had 7 forwards on the bench, we knew the tactical play the Boks would employ, and it was not to substitute Bongi. And then Cheslin's yellow late in the game was also really, really, really concerning. But let's have a look. Just some more here. We see Brighton Chateau saying, well done. Kosi Seku saying, well done, Walker. Very proud of you, boys. Joe Seriano saying, no excuses from New Zealand. We lost to a better team. I'll be serving lamb humble pies at the airport's departing. You know what? I think either way that game went, Roots, and correct me if I'm wrong, but either way that game went, both teams were in it to win the final. And as a Springbok fan, we are elated. We are absolutely off our rockers on the win. But you've got to feel for the All Blacks. They were in that game with 14 men down early on, a red card for Sam Cane. And we've got to think about, Sam Cane and how he'll be feeling at the moment. But I don't know how you feel. Can you touch on how the All Blacks played this game?
So from the moment the game started, I think South Africa showed that they were there with intent. I think there was a lot of talk in the week with the quarterfinal, the semi-final, that the Springboks perhaps would be lacking in terms of intent, energy, and that sort of thing. But I think Springboks showed that ultimately they were building up towards this final. And I think the All Blacks, they would have hoped on an early start where they could get a little bit of ascendancy, but the Springboks didn't allow that. So they shut the door to any potential All Blacks. Whatever they were training in the week didn't come to fruition because the Springboks shut down that door and actually showed that physicality and the energy and intent that everybody of the haters would have said was lacking in the Springboks. But I think they showed that they had a little bit left in the tank, and all along that was what was left in the tank for Jacques Nienaber and the team. So I think although the All Blacks did give us moments of panic, I don't think the game went according to their plan. We were not behind at any stage, as I understand. So it was never an easy game for us, don't get me wrong. I think the South Africans, the Springboks, as per the plan from 2019, before 2019, when Rusty and them took over, to now has come to fruition, and the Springboks have come over the line, albeit 1 point. 1 point is more than enough.
It's more than enough, Roots. Absolutely. 1 point. Do you know what's on that trophy? On the William Webb Ellis trophy, it will not say Springboks by 1 point. It will simply say 2023 South Africa. And that is all that matters. Guys, we absolutely love your comments. We see there from Raymond Rigg there saying, I love you, boys. We love you, Booker. Absolutely. It is unbelievable. I saw a comment earlier, guys. Sorry, the comments are coming so thick and fast, but keep them coming. We saw a comment there from Joe Seriano here saying, Peter Steph de Toy, what a player. Absolutely.
Phenomenal.
There. I mean, phenomenal performance from Peter Steph. He just, again, showing his class and why he was voted World Player of the Year in prior years. He is unbelievable. It has been a absolutely amazing performance. Rudes, I think we're going to have to, because we could sit here and we could talk about how great this is all night long, but we're going to have to, I think, move on to the player rating. So, ladies and gents, if you haven't already, please, in the chat, I'll see if I can drop the link. Please go and vote your player ratings there. So there should be a link appearing now in the chat to visit that site there and put your thoughts into the player ratings. We want to know from the community, what do you think? Now, it's going to be very difficult not to rate all the Springboks just 10s across the board, because that's how my heart is feeling. There you see it in the chat again. Rate the players. Go and have a look at that. Let us know what your thoughts. Rudy and I will talk through each player, each position. We will give our feelings on this. So, ladies and gents, please do go get your votes in there. Rudy, please make sure whoever's there with you, boy, bring them into the chat. Let the more the merrier. Let's get everyone's thoughts on this, guys. So we are going to move across. So please make sure you are voting for your player there. I'm going to try and move across here to share my screen, Rude. So let me know, can you see that there, the player ratings?
Yes, my brother, I do.
Naka. So let's start off, ladies and gents. As I said, guys, in the chat, please use that link that was posted there by Forever Sports. Go and let us know your thoughts on the players as we go through. We're going to give our player ratings, and it's always interesting to see what you think. So Rudy, let's start then with the number one, Steven Kitsoff versus Ethan de Groot. What do you think from the Spicy Plum? Let's start off with one of the Springboks. What do you think from the Spicy Plum?
Wes, are you going to allow me to just give my honest opinion and say every Springbok is 10 out of 10, yeah, my brother? Or should
Rudy, I would back you 100%, but we have to be objective. Try your best to think. What do you think? I mean, if you want to go 10 out of 10, that's fine. We'll see what the chat says. But let's start with the Spicy Plum. Steven Kitsoff, what do we think?
100%. So I think just coming back to normality, I think for Kitsoff and Scrum, we were looking to dominate. But I think it was pretty even early on. So I'm going to give Kitsoff an 8 out of 10. I'm going to give Ethan de Groot a 7 out of 10. A couple of good ball carries. But in terms of the scrummaging, Steven Kitsoff might have had the upper hand. The referee, in my opinion, wasn't blowing the situation in our favor. Not that it was our dominance, but I think Kitsoff for this game in the final, as an old dog, gave the opportunity to show why he's worthy of that loose-head number 1 jersey.
Absolutely. I think I'm very happy with the Steven Kitsoff 10. I think, he's corrected his quarterfinal woes where he was giving away too many penalties. He came back in the semi-final pretty quiet, just did his job. And today was the same thing. And that's all we needed from you, Steven Kitsoff. Thank you, you beautiful Spicy Plum. So Steven Kitsoff gets an 8 from us, Forever Sports. Average user score is an 8. We are bang on, 1 from 1, really. I agree with you with Ethan de Groot. I thought he had a fantastic game. I thought he did his job, but on the night just not enough. So 7 for Ethan de Groot. Let's see what the Forever Sports community is rating Ethan de Groot here. We are 2 from 2, Rudy. That is unbelievable picks there, guys. Once again, if you haven't already, I will post it in the chat. But please make sure that you go have a look. And that you make sure that you put your player rankings in there, and we can see what you guys are thinking. Okay, moving swiftly on then to the hookers. So pretty difficult, I think, in this regard for Bongi Umunambi, who came off very early, due to that legal neck roll early on him, which resulted in a yellow card for Shannon Frizzell. But what we saw from Bongi, and I think Rudy, this score reflects Bongi's performance throughout the entire World Cup. So what are you giving Bongi here?
Out of 10. Bongi Umunambi, yes, obviously it was a shame to see Bongi Umunambi going down with an injury. But I think with the fact that it was a neck roll, there was a yellow card, and for South Africa, having Dion Fourie off the bench was most certainly a very, very good introduction to allow us to get out of the ball as well. So I'm going to give Bongi Umunambi, obviously, it's going to be a 5 out of 10, not based on his performance, just based on the fact that he didn't contribute too much towards the game in the latter stages. And then Cody Taylor, I think, for the most part, found his man in the line-out, but I think South Africa managed him in terms of his ball carries. So I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10. Yeah, the All Blacks didn't win the World Cup, so he's going to have to get a 6. Sorry.
Very hectic, Cruz. No, I'm with you on Bongi. I think if we look at his score in terms of what he's brought to the side, stepping up to the plate when Malcolm Marx was injured, Bongi must have had immense weight on his shoulders, and to carry that. In your words, Rudy, simply sensational. There it is, 9 as well, the average user score, guys. Please make sure you are going and voting on this as well. So simply sensational. Bongi Umunambi gets a 9 from us here at Forever Sports and a 9 from you guys at home. Cody Taylor Roots, very interesting. I think potentially a bit hard. I might bump him up to a 7. As you said, he found his man. He did his job. We did neutralize him in carrying. No, they didn't win. I do feel like he did all that he could have by the Springboks. So Roots, I'm going to bump him up to a 7 here. And let's see what the Forever Sports community thinks. We're just waiting for the Wi-Fi here as it does start to load in, guys. Once again, make sure you are visiting that link in the chat. You are getting your votes in so we can see. And there we go. I think we are 4 for 4. This is unbelievable how we are, guys. Please make sure that you are going and voting there alongside us, because so far we've got everything right, bang on. All Rudy and I are just phenomenal at picking what you guys think. And then wrapping out, Rudes, the front row there. Let's have a look. What do we think about Frans Malherbe and Tyrell Lomax? Why don't you start with the Kiwi, Rudes, this time? Let's start with the All Black. What do you think on Tyrell Lomax's performance?
So in terms of the scrummaging, as I mentioned, South Africa, we didn't perhaps get the dominance that we would have liked scrum time. But then also for Tyrell Lomax, I didn't see a lot of ball carries. I think South Africa with the dominant tackles on defense and with that sharp first half, they nullified a lot of the All Blacks ball carriers. And even be it Tyrell not being the most prominent ball carrier, I think scrummaging-wise, he was okay because South Africa never really got the momentum. But in terms of a rating, I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10 again. And then obviously for Frans Malherbe, I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. I just think for the fact that he's able to put a shift in, he's had a long tournament. I think South Africa has also played top 6 teams in the last 7 weeks, finishing and culminating with the All Blacks. I'm going to have to go Frans Malherbe 1 more point than your Tyrell Lomax.
Absolutely, Rees, I'm there with you. It's difficult not to view the Springboks in the context of what they've brought this entire World Cup. So we see here in the chat, guys, Wesley 290 saying, I need a Springbok tattoo. Wesley, as a fellow Wesley, you 100% condone and approve that message. Get that Springbok tattoo, my brother. Get it? Absolutely. It is absolutely phenomenal. AMX in the chat, just having an awful time, and we feel bad for you, AMX. But it's okay, Brew. We feel you. So let's get back to the readings here. Frans Malherbe, I feel like absolutely an 8. I thought he did pretty good this game. He came in. There we see average user score. Guys, make sure you are voting on this as well. Tyrell Lomax, again, Rudy, I agree with you. Came on pretty ineffective, did his job, but I do agree with you. A 6 here for this. So yeah, once again agreeing here, guys. Make sure you are voting on this. Get your player ratings in, guys, to the site. So here you see me literally copying the link to the site and pasting it in the chat. So make sure you get your votes in there. Let us know what you are thinking in those comments. Let's see here from the chat. Otherwise, we see who's saying what here. So much going on. Let's have a look. I can't read some of these comments. Here we go. Eldon Emerald saying, huge congratulations, South Africa. We appreciate it. We appreciate you, buddy. Let's have a look. Yeah, so much comments on AMX. Don't worry, guys. Let's take the oxygen out of AMX's chat. Ignore him. Let me know how you're feeling. It has been phenomenal. So let's move on then from the front row to the men behind the scrum, Eben Etzebeth and Brody Retallick. Roots, what do we think about Eben and Brody's performance? I mean, 2 monumental players in terms of the game. You know, Eben Etzebeth being nominated for Player of the Year. Brody Retallick, a former Player of the Year. Phenomenal performance. So I hand this one over to you, Rudy. What are you thinking?
So in terms of intensity, I'm going to give it to Eben Etzebeth. I think the set pieces, lineouts perhaps, were not functioning to the best of South Africa's ability. I think the All Blacks unsettled us a little bit. So compliments have to go to Brody Retallick. But I think in terms of the intensity, in terms of dominant tackles, Eben Etzebeth was always there showing up. There was a lot of criticism in the semi-final game that he perhaps was finished after 45 minutes. But again, he was just saving himself for this final. And I think in terms of the collisions, Etzebeth got one up on Brody Retallick. So I'm going to give Etzebeth a 8 out of 10, and I'm going to give Brody Retallick a 7 out of 10.
Roots, I'm with you all the way there. I think what the difference was, you know, when the Springboks were making tackles, it was physical, it was dominant. We were driving the All Blacks back, and I didn't see that from the All Black defense. You know, when our boys were running it up, it always felt like we were getting over the game line. So absolutely, I think Eben Etzebeth at least an 8. We'll see what the community has to say. And Brody Retallick there. Brody Retallick, I think, again, doing his job, but just not enough. But it was a good performance from Brody. So coming in at a 7. Absolutely. So, guys, please make sure you are voting in those there. I'll see if I can try and refresh this. Just to make sure we are getting your guys' score. So once again, to run through it quickly here, I think we said Stephen was an 8 and Ethan was a 7. So hopefully you guys are sharing in this. I don't know, maybe we just on point tonight. I think Bongi we said was about a 9 given all that he's given throughout this game. Cody, I think I bumped him up to a 7 there as well. France, then really correct me if I'm wrong. I said we said 8. Tyrell, I think we said 7 was pretty average. Eben coming in at 8 and Brody coming in at 7. So guys, make sure you are getting your votes in there. We love to see what you guys think because sometimes, you know, we might not be on it. Absolutely. Let's have a look. We see Z saying All Blacks crying right now. Absolutely. I mean, guys, you know, you got to appreciate it. We would be in absolute tears if it wasn't the result we got. So Wesley 290 saying fill that trophy with French champagne. Down. Absolutely. The Boks are going to have a fantastic time, guys. We really appreciate your comments there in the chat. So moving on to the number 5s then, Franco Mostert and Scott Barrett. You know, and I think again, Rudy, it might be very similar to what you said for the number 4s. Franco just seemed to be a lot more all over the field, effecting positive tackles. Scott Barrett was there, but not as much. So, Rudy, what are you thinking for the number 5s on the field?
100% Wes, you got it spot on there. Franco Mostert was all over the place. I think South Africa, or certain people perhaps don't know the value of a Franco Mostert. He might not be the most physical in terms of his carries, but invaluable in terms of his work rate around the field. We talk about the battle stats, and we look at the likes of Kwagga Smith, but Franco Mostert is also right up there. So a real great shift from Franco Mostert. I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. And then for Scott Barrett, I think for the most part, a lot of hype around the fact that he's the man to fix the situation for the All Blacks in terms of carries. But I think for me, he had a 5 out of 10. South Africa were all over him. Franco Mostert really came out on top in terms of the battle of the fives.
Rudy, I'm not even arguing with you, but I think Franco had a phenomenal performance. So do you guys. I think Scott Barrett had a 5 out of 5 performance, pretty average as well. Guys, I'm not sure if this is working. We apologize here. It seems to be, because I can't believe we've got all these exactly right. So please make sure that you are viewing with that link in the comments there. We see Bismarck 3005 saying, All Blacks played an amazing games. Great final. Great for South Africa. It was indeed. I think it was, one of the greatest finals, and credit to the All Blacks. Again, I've said it before, but we must recognize they were the first team in history to score a try against the Springboks in a Rugby World Cup final. It didn't happen in 1995. It didn't happen in 2007. It didn't happen in 2019. It happened in 2023, but yet the Bokke found a way to win. So absolutely phenomenal. We see here Riashan Pillay saying, can we get a week off to celebrate? I think, why not? Surely. Come on, Cyril. Give the boys, give the nation a week off to celebrate. This is absolutely phenomenal. Okay, moving on to our number 6s then, Siya Kolisi and Shannon Frizzell. And I think, both players here receiving a yellow card. So Roots, how does that impact your rating on these two players?
So for me, Kolisi and Sam Cane, obviously, being the leaders of their team, wanted to get their respective teams over the line. I think there's going to be a lot of debate around the Sam Cane incident that in effect had a red card that perhaps had an impact on the game. But I think for the most part, Kolisi as well, they were judged that's a yellow card. I think just in terms of his leadership and the way that he's guided this team from 1 to 23, from 23 to 33 players was absolutely amazing. And South Africa had an opportunity to reward the fans with the wonderful support that they've been giving. From my side, I just want to give a little shout out here. Someone wants to say a little shout out to our captain, Siya Kolisi, and the Springboks. What do you have to say?
I'm very proud of the Springboks, and go Bokke! Well done, Siya.
Go Bokke!
Absolutely, simply sensational there. So for me, Siya Kolisi, definitely a 9 out of 10. And I think for Shannon Frizzell, a 4 out of 10 would be sufficient there, Wes.
Yeah, Rudy, I think I've gone and locked in the 9 out of 10 for Siya there. I do think Shannon Frizzell, touted as one of the All Blacks' best players or better players. He brings a different dimension to the New Zealand forward pack. He was completely neutralized this game. He gave away that yellow card. I think a 4 is perfectly reasonable, Root. So I'll give that there. I have highlighted here Luke's comment, which says, tell me why Kane was a red and Kolisi wasn't. So Luke, how I saw it was very simply that Sam Cane was not dipping at his hips and he went into contact high. There was no mitigation factor there to downgrade that from a red card. Whereas Siya Kolisi was clearly and evidently making an attempt to low. He was bent at his hips, going in low, and the player was dipping into him. And that's why it was deemed a yellow card. Now, honestly, Oaks, I try be as objective as I can. And funny enough, when the game was going on, I very clearly said, that's a yellow, not a red for Sia's infringement. And indeed it was. So, yeah, absolutely. I think that is the right call. But let's move on then to Peter, Steph, Toy, and Sam Cane. Again, a tale of two here, Rudy. I mean, I don't think we can talk highly enough about Peter Steph's performance. This, for me, is truly the first 10 out of 10 Bok performance. Rudy, what do you think?
Wes, you got it spot on. It's 10 out of 10 for Peter Steph du Toit. He's my man of the match in the Rugby World Cup final. And then Sam Cane, unfortunately, because of that red card, will have to go with the 5 out of 10. But absolutely magnificent part from PSTD for South Africa, getting us over the line. I think the most tackles. He was everywhere. Simply sensational.
Simply sensational, Rudes. Absolutely. Peter Steph du Toit, 10 out of 10. I mean, every tackle he made was a positive tackle. It drove the All Blacks back. He was there in key moments, shutting them down. I mean, I wish in my fantasy team I'd picked him as my triple defender or whatever it's called, my super defender, because tonight's game, he was simply sensational, Rudes. It was unbelievable. And then we have to move across to Sam Cane, who got the red card, where there is some conversation in the chat, saying that Sam Cane was coming out of another tackle and therefore unable to go low. But yeah, looking at that incident, he didn't go low. He didn't provide the refs with enough to mitigate that to simply a yellow card. I mean, you've got to spare a thought for Sam Cane, because he came out absolutely firing in that Ireland game. He was switched on. He used every bit of motivation to get his team through. I think he's been a great captain for the All Blacks, and we salute him for fantastic rugby. But tonight just wasn't his night, Rude. So I'm really feeling for Sam Cane. There's a real athlete connection here in terms of Sam Cane. But what do you feel? What do you feel like about his performance, albeit quite short, in this Rugby World Cup final?
So I think as a South African fan, I'm glad that the Blacks didn't quite show up as they did in previous games. But I think Sam Cane as a player will always go down as one of the most incumbents to the likes of Richie McCaw. So I can't speak highly enough, even though I'm a South African fan. I think you have to give credit where it's due. And even when the criticism was on Sam Cane, he delivered and delivered in the big moment in that quarterfinals and specifically as well the semi-finals. So I don't think there should be any harsh words on the All Blacks in terms of this performance. I think South Africa from 2019 onwards were ultimately playing for this, and it's kind of hard to believe with 1 point week after week. But I think if you're the South Africans who were planning from the beginning, Jacques Nienaber and Rassie Erasmus and the team, you would buy into that a lot quicker. So I think as South African fans, we just got to be proud that a plan can be executed the way it was, and actually the positive energy that it can have and the impact that it can have on South Africans. So for me, Sam Cane, I guess, influential leader for the All Blacks, but not enough. South Africa was just too much today.
Absolutely, Rubes. I'm there with you. I think, Sam Cane, unfortunately, had a phenomenal, well, not unfortunately, but fortunately had a phenomenal Rugby World Cup campaign. And then in tonight's game, just, one small decision potentially making all the difference, and credit to the All Blacks for playing the way they did with 14 men on the field for the majority of the game. I think personally, I'm going to give Sam Cane a 6. I know he wasn't on there for very long, but given the leadership skills he's had to show him throughout the game, throughout the tournament, I thought he did incredibly well as well. So just a few more comments before we get on to the 8th men and rounding out the starting forward pack there. We see our Pedro87 saying we had 1 point to prove. Absolutely. It seems like, Pedro, we've had 1 point to prove throughout the last couple of games, but it's been fantastic. We appreciate it. Yeah, guys, we see lots of comments in the chat there saying, what's done is done. Absolutely. But we're here to talk about it, and this is the Springboks moment. We wouldn't want to detract from any other team's joy. So as Springbok fans, guys, absolutely revel in it. This doesn't come around often, and the fact that we are aside to go back-to-back world champs, showing New Zealand that anything they can do, we can do as well. And the fact that we've won it 4 times in a row, becoming the first nation, has been absolutely phenomenal. So here, last comment before we get into the number 8, warrior mentality of the box. I'm not going to lie, as a Kiwi, I thought All Blacks would win by 14. Joe Siriano, we appreciate it there, mate. And you know what? This is why we enjoy playing the All Blacks, because there's a real sense of respect between the two rugby nations and their fans. You know, as we said, like that was my thinking, Joe. I thought if the South Africans were going to win it, it was going to be by 5, and if the All Blacks were going to win it, it was going to be by 20. So you know, it could have gone either way there. Now let's have a look into the number 8, Duane Vermeulen, playing his last game as a Springbok, and I have to shed a tear because I'm a number 8, and Duane has been such a servant of the game, and it's difficult not to just give Duane an 11 for this game, because he has been, as I said, a servant of Springbok rugby. But I think in this performance, he did what was needed of him. You know, he ran strong with the ball, he tackled, he was faultless. Rudy, I'm very tempted to give Duane a 10 here on his final Springbok performance. What do you think?
Wes, I wouldn't be upset with you in the least, my brother. I think between a 9 and a 10, I'm going to go with the 10 because of the fact that it's his last game, the impact that he had from the beginning. He started this game. There was a lot of pressure on him. Perhaps the younger incumbent, Jasper Visa, was going to be the more hungrier of the two. But Duane Vermeulen really showed that even though he started his Springbok career at a later stage than most would assume, that he's just as strong, if not stronger than the rest. So I'm going to give him a 10 out of 10. For Ardie Savea, I think there was a little bit of sense of deer stuck in the headlights. And for that reason, I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10.
Rudy, I'm there with you as well. You know, Ardie, we were so used to seeing, 9, 10 out of 10 performances from Ardie Savea. As opposed to what we saw tonight, he was there. He just wasn't as influential as we saw. So I think Duane, 10 out of 10 for his last performance as a Springbok. Duane, thank you for your effort, your sacrifice, your service to Springbok rugby. You have been an absolute inspiration to the country, an absolute servant of the game, and we cannot praise you highly enough, Duane. So we wish you all the best going into the future. And what a number 8 he has been. And Ardie, for a player of Ardie's caliber, where he usually has 10 out of 10 performances, anything less is then seen as a 7. And I think that's what he had tonight. But credit to the Springboks who were able to nullify him, I think, really. Absolutely. So let's then move on to the back line. Obviously, I think Roots here now, we have to get into the mentality of the Springboks as well, where New Zealand had substitutes, right? But the Springbok backs knew that they had to put in a massive performance for 80 minutes because there was no substitute. And Faf de Klerk being one of the most spoken about positions. And if he had to go off, would Chesson come on? But he stayed on and he played and he was there and he was making tackles and he was making kicks. And his delivery, I thought, was phenomenal. So, Roots, I don't know what you're feeling. So let me hold my vote. What do you think about for Faf?
Faf, I'm going to say, brother, because of the shift that he had to put in, I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10. I think the only contingency would be the handling errors here there at the base. But Aaron Smith, definitely a 7 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, no, I think I'm there with you. It's absolutely 9 out of 10 for Faf. I thought he stepped up to the plate. He showed why he is a world-class athlete. So absolutely phenomenal from Faf. And then Aaron Smith, the last time we will see the legendary Aaron Smith in an All Black jersey, there was, to be honest, I had to feel a bit of sadness when I saw Aaron Smith coming on because he has been, again, such a servant of the game. So I'm tempted, scoring the try in the final there, being the first rugby player ever to score a try against the Springboks, although, albeit quite a team try there for Aaron Smith. I'm tempted, Roots, to give Aaron Smith a 10 in his final performance in an All Black jersey, scoring a try. What do you think?
100%. I think for the All Blacks, Aaron Smith has been the catalyst of many attacking plays. But I think for the fact that Faf de Klerk had to put in the extra shift, if you had to have it a battle of nines, I think Faf de Klerk came out head over heels over Aaron Smith. It will be sad to see him go. He's been a wonderful servant of New Zealand rugby, but we're all too happy that the World Cup is coming back home.
Absolutely. And on that point, Rudy, there, so do you know what? I am going to give Aaron Smith a 10, guys. I do think that, compared to Faf, who had to go the extra mile, I do think for Aaron Smith's last game, I think a 10 is deserved. But here we see the comment from Alvin Ahmed saying, I feel for those who are not in South Africa right now as the streets are roaring. It's all ecstatic as the 1-point lead means the world to us. I feel like in paradise. I feel like I'm in paradise as the feeling is out of this world. Alvin, for those of us who aren't in South Africa, please go and enjoy that feeling, guys. It is phenomenal. Enjoy it. It doesn't come around often, rather. The Boks are champions. Fantastic. Now, moving on to the battle of the 10s. The huge conversation around the selection here with Andre Pollard and no Manie Lebok. Obviously, Richie Mo'unga was going to be the 10, 10 out of 10. No problems there in terms of who was going to be selected. But really, I think Andre, I think he kicked well. I don't think he missed a kick. I think he did what was needed of him. He was the man for the job. You have to feel for Manie Lebok, but in a tournament, when you are trying to win, you've got to choose your best player, and I think they did choose the best player tonight. So what are you giving Andre out of 10?
100% Wes. I think a lot of people were skeptical when there was the ball shifting to the left hand upright. There was one in-off and it went over. So there was a little bit of doubt, but I think for the sake of Pollard and what he does, what he's done before, the purists would have known that even the in-off was a good sign for South Africa. And I think just having his calmness, his temperament, they call him the Iceman. There's no disrespect to Richie Mo'unga. I think he's got an exceptional set of skills. But I think for the sake of Pollard that was kicking all those penalties, keeping us in the fight, and then obviously never allowing us to get behind was simply brilliant from Andre Pollard. So I'm giving him a 10 out of 10, and I'm giving a Richie Mo'unga a 7 out of 10.
Rudes, I'm there with you. Absolutely. I think Pollard was phenomenal tonight, leading the boys from the front, allowing us to stay in front of that scoreboard pressure pretty much the whole game, effectively the whole game. I think Richie Mo'unga there, I think he had a few uncharacteristic mistakes. Potentially the occasion got to him a bit too much, but it was a good performance from him. Otherwise, I think he was instrumental in the All Blacks try as well. So, we rate him quite highly at a 7 out of 10 there, but just on the night, not good enough. So we appreciate it. Absolutely. We've got some controversial comments here. Kieran Fleck saying All Blacks lost, you didn't win. So potentially that's one way to look at it. I think the Boks have shown that they are a team who find a way to win, and again, Kieran, I appreciate your sentiment, but on the trophy, my man, it is going to say South Africa 2023. So looking at our number 11s then, we've got to look at the matchup between Cheslin Kolbe and Mark Tillea. Kolbe's performance arguably marred potentially by that yellow card at the end, and Mark Tillea doing what Mark Tillea does, kept relatively quiet, but really put in a good effort to try and have an impact on the game. So Roots, let's start with Cheslin there. What do you think, in light of that yellow card? What are you giving Chesa?
Yeah, so he had a good couple of clean catches from the air. He also had a good couple of carries in terms of when the ball was kicked back to him. I think the yellow card was a little bit of an unfortunate one, in my opinion. Certain referees would have perhaps called that accidental, but in that opinion, it was yellow card. So only for that reason, I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. Otherwise, it would have been a 9. I think every South African contributed in their own way, and if I look at the intent of Cheslin Kolbe, it was always positive, so I'm giving him a 9 out of 10. His opposite number, I think he had a few opportunities to break away, but I think the South Africa scramble defense was just enough to put him off and not allow him to get that last move. make that last pass. So we can't give him credit for what wasn't done. I think even though he broke one tackle, perhaps there were defenders around to shut him down. So he's going to get a 7 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, Rudy, I'm absolutely with you. I think Cheslin Colby, 9 out of 10. I think, we just missed a try from him this game, and then obviously the yellow card, but I think he's been phenomenal for the Boks. He's been the go-to guy to play as many games, as much of the last couple of games as he has been phenomenal. And Mark, I agree with you. A player we were potentially expecting of just a bit more gives us a 7 out of 10 there. Absolutely, because he did have a few moments that did make my sphincter tighten up very, 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 very tight. But the Springbok scramble defense was enough, Roots. So absolutely, I'm there with you on those two players. Looking then at our 12s, then the inside centers, Damien Dielendi and Geordie Barrett. I thought a strong performance from Damien. I thought a good performance from Geordie. Obviously Geordie missing that one kick there, which potentially could have taken the All Blacks ahead. So, I think Damien was relatively quiet. I thought he had some good carries. I am going to give him an 8 out of 10. I think he had a solid performance. Geordie Barrett, though, I'm going to drop to a 7. I think he had a less quiet performance, or sort of a quieter performance, rather. And obviously missing that kick potentially cost him the side there. But was great, has been a great figure of New Zealand rugby. Then going into the number 13 position route, looking at Jesse Creel and Rico Ioane, two stalwarts of the game. And again, Jesse Creel, arguably one of the South African players under the most amount of scrutiny. Did he stand up to the test tonight? Did Jesse Creel finally earn the respect of the South African public?
I think 100% Wes. I think Jesse Creel has only come on in leaps and bounds. I think there were a lot of doubters in terms of his ability at 13, especially with the loss of Lukanya. But I think for Jesse Creel, every single game he just seasoned a little bit better. And in this game, perhaps the opportunities in a World Cup final are not much available. But defensively, he was always sound. I think he was always open to the loose ball. So I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. Then his counterpart, I'm going to give a 7 out of 10. There wasn't much to separate them. I think Rico Ioane is a great player, but in terms of South Africa winning the World Cup and the contribution that Jesse has made, I'm going to give him one above Rico Ioane.
Rudes, I'm there with you 100%. I think Jesse, put in that monster performance against the French, and then came up strong against the English, and then tonight did what was needed of him. So an 8 performance, solid 8 out of 10. And I do think, Rico Ioane was trying to do what he could do, but it ultimately came up short there. So 7 out of 10, I think is fair, absolutely. Looking at then your wings, Curtly Arendse and Will Jordan. Will Jordan, the supposed try-scoring machine for New Zealand, unable to break the record that he, set last week, or in terms of he matched last week. We kept him relatively quiet this game. We didn't allow him much time on the ball. So I think credit to the Springboks. So I do think I'm going to give Will Jordan a 7 out of 10. I think he had a pretty average performance in that regard. I think Curtly Arendse, though, had a good performance. He was pretty solid under the high ball. When he got ball in hand, he was looking to be quite exciting. So I think an 8 out of 10 for Curtly there for me. Then finally, moving on to the number 15s, Rudes, Damian Willemse and Beauden Barrett. The young gun, Damian Willemse, versus the old head of Beauden Barrett. I did think that Damien had a phenomenal game. I think he did what was needed of him, and was quite exciting. And Beauden, you could argue the same thing, but just ineffective. So, Rudes, where do you land on these two world-class 15s?
Yeah, for me, Willemse from the beginning was sound under the high ball. I think against the English, we were put under a lot of pressure in terms of the chasers, the Freddie Stewarts, getting behind us. But I think Willemse handled that very well. I think just from the start, South Africa had a clear intent that every opportunity they had to win the ball, that they were going to do the best in their control to do that. And Willemse showed that under the high ball. And I just think for Beauden Barrett, obviously a lot of experience. He didn't do anything wrong. But if we had to look at the changing of the guard, I guess, Damian Willems is the next 15 for South Africa for the next 4 years, and just put his CV on display edition for everyone in the world to see. And Bowden Barrett had to perhaps clap hands, even though he didn't perhaps want to. But at the end of the game, I think Willems, in combination with every other South African, there was that little bit of extra that they wanted it more.
Yeah, Roots, I'm there with you. You know, some people in our chat are disagreeing. They're saying Kieran Fleck, for example, saying, okay, Bowden was the better fullback today. I think it was really on a knife edge, and I don't think potentially you could separate them too much. You know, I don't think Bowden made many mistakes. He never really does. I don't think Willems made many mistakes. You know, in terms of positive effects on the game, I think they both had them. So, you know, I'm quite tempted here to rate both fullbacks at an 8. I think they both had a solid performance. I don't think they did anything particularly wrong. You know, and so I feel like irrespective of the result, if we try to look at it objectively, I do think that both fullbacks had a solid performance. So, yeah, I am too excited to see what Damian Willems can bring to the Springbok game for the next 4 years. So, I think here we go. One of the ones I've been looking forward to, and really, to be honest, and I treasure you, and I value your opinion, but I don't care what you say about Deon Fourie. He is a 10 out of 10 for me. Now, albeit the lineouts might not have been as crisp as we wanted for whatever reason, but to come on as early as he did and to stay in the game and to not be such a noticeable effect, I think Deon Fourie played out of his socks today. Rudy, what are you thinking on the Springbok number 16? Looks like we've lost Rudy there. He was warning me about his battery, guys. So you are stuck with just me, but it's fine. Let's go through this. So as I said, I've given Deon Fourie a 10 out of 10. He is a story for the ages, as Mario says there in the chat. He was absolutely, or as Rudy would say, in honor of Rudy, simply sensational. So absolutely back, Deon Fourie. Congratulations to you, my brother. That was a performance of a lifetime. It was phenomenal. Looking then over to Taya Aho, obviously, Tau Ke Aho, number 16 from New Zealand. Again, I thought came on, did his job, pretty ineffectual though. Still a solid performance, so 7 out of 10 there for the reserve number 16. We restricted his carrying ability as well. Looking then to, obviously, Oxenchair, a man who came on and single-handedly, you could argue, turned around the fate of the Springboks performance from last week, came on, did his job. I mean, Ox, listen, my man, please come to Botswana. I will buy you a chocolate cake, right? You here, I will give you a chocolate cake. Absolute legend. So I think a solid performance from him. Didn't do anything wrong, carried well, scrummed well, 9 out of 10 for Ox there for me. Tamaiti Williams, you know, one of the youngsters who was posed against a phenomenal Springbok front row there, and I think he did his job. So Tamaiti Williams, I think, comes away with a 7 out of 10 for me, guys. Again, I don't know what you think. Let me know in the chat. It doesn't seem to be really working, guys, on the player ratings. So please let me know your thoughts in the comments there. And Fair, thank you so much for your comment there. I'm just going to post this up so everyone can see. Fair, Wes, you are amazing. I appreciate it. Only here because of you guys. Jason saying champions. Jason, absolutely Bokke for the win. 2023 Rugby World Cup champs. Absolutely phenomenal. Neil saying go Bokke. We appreciate you. Faye saying that they will bake the chocolate cake. Fantastic. So, Faye, bake the chocolate cake. Let's get Oxenchair up here. We will get him the chocolate cake that he needs because salads don't win scrums, right? Salads don't win scrums. Ox, you legend. On to our number 18s there. Trevor Ingenganye, fantastic performance from the Springbok. I think also has to be a 9 out of 10 for him. Laulala came on again and just pretty ineffectual, you know. I think potentially, guys, if I'm honest, we were expecting to see the Springboks decimate the All Black forwards with the bomb squad coming on, you know, that 7-1 split. But they did their job. So Laulala, I'm going to give an 8 out of 10. I thought he was pretty impressive. So let me know what you think in the chat. As I said, the link, for whatever reason, doesn't seem to be working too much. So I am looking at your chat here, guys. Let me know your player rankings here, and I will call out as many of them as I can. Moving on then to Jean Klein and Sam Whitelock. So lots of chat this week about Jean Klein being the first Irish player to represent in the semis and the finals. I think Jean Klein came on for Eben, put in a massive performance. He's shown his commitment to the Springboks side. I thought he put in a decent effort. Jean Klein for me gets an 8 out of 10. Whitelock, one of the greats of the game, touted to potentially being the first player to win three, or excuse me, the first men's Rugby World Cup union player to win 3 Rugby World Cups. And it just wasn't to be for Sam Whitelock. I think, again, he has been an absolute servant of the game, the most capped All Black of the game. And we thank Sam Whitelock for his contribution to the game, what an inspiration he has been. But tonight, it just wasn't enough. So I think a 7 for Sam Whitelock is fair. Okay, looking at our number 20s there, Achia Snyman. Again, a man we are so used to seeing, guys, coming onto the field and having an impact and throwing that ball around like it's nothing. One hand, breaking through the first line, looking for the offload. I thought he was relatively quiet tonight. I thought he did a job at the line out. He did a job at the scrum. But in terms of the rest of it, he really was quite quiet. So for me, Achia Snyman might potentially be looking at getting a 7. I'm tempted to bump him up to an 8 just because of the win. But I do think that potentially Achia's performance individually wasn't quite what we're used to. We're used to seeing Achia operate at a level that's unparalleled. But you know what? Fuck it. It's a final. 8 out of 10 for Achia Snyman for me. Fantastic. Dalton Papali'i, again, a phenomenal player, but relatively quiet this match. 7 out of 10 for you, Dalton. I thought you came on, you did your job. You did what was asked of you, but again, it just wasn't enough on the night. Okay, we get to, and again, there was a comment earlier on, guys, Kwagga Smith. This man was absolutely, and again, in honor of Rudy and his battery dying, but simply sensational. He came on, he was effective, he stole ball, he initiated penalties. So for me, there's no doubt. Kwagga is a 10 out of 10. I think he's deserved it in the last couple of games. It's all about the not extinct Kwagga, says Mario. I love your chat, Mario. Absolutely. Kwagga is still very much alive, and he is bumping in the Springboks setup. And I think this, tonight he was simply sensational. So 10 out of 10 for Kwagga there for me. Absolutely. The Green Dabbler saying there that Kwagga is my old school hero. Absolutely. He is fantastic. Faye there saying that Faf and Kwagga has been huge. It's been massive. So yeah, guys, for me, Kwagga Smith, 10 out of 10, no problem. Then we get on to Finley Christie. I think a big choice here. I think a lot of people would have selected potentially Roygaard over Finley Christie coming on for Aaron Smith. I think Finley did a job, but for me personally, I felt like when Aaron Smith went off and Finley Christie came on, I feel like that was the moment that I thought, okay, we've got this. I can't explain it. I don't know why, but when Aaron Smith came off, there was a sense of understanding for me that we were going to win this. So that takes nothing away from Finley. I thought he had a good performance. I just thought it wasn't anything spectacular. I thought it potentially a 6 out of 10 performance from me. But yeah, I just thought when Finley came off, obviously, when Aaron Smith came off, it just felt like, yeah, that was it for me. Jasper Vista, again, coming on, doing his job, potentially nothing too noticeable there. So Jasper, for me, putting in a solid performance of an 8. Damien McKenzie, again, this was honestly, guys, he was the player I was the most concerned about. When DMAC came on, because we know what an exciting player he can be, and we know how effective he can be. I thought this is the player we have to worry about. But again, credit to the South Africans for just absolutely neutralizing Damien McKenzie. And so for that reason, I think he was pretty ineffectual, didn't do much. I'm going to rate him a 6 out of 10. And then finally, we get to the final player, guys. So Mario there saying he shares my concern around DMAC because again, we know what influence he can. But finally, the final player rating there, Willie Leroux, the only backline replacement. And again, I think a testament to the faith that the Springbok coaching team had in their backline players. And Willie Leroux being the only backline replacement. And Willie's had his moments, and he's had his ups, and he's had his downs, and he's faced criticism, rightly so, I think, from the South African public. But Willie tonight coming out on top, on the winning side. I thought he had pretty good performance. There were no knock-ons. I think he was in the right position most of the time. He wasn't part of a try assist. I think that's pretty unusual for Willie. But I think it was a good performance from Willie. So solid performance. I'm going to rate Willie Leroux 8 out of 10 there. And then finally on to Anton Leonard Brown there for New Zealand, number 23. I feel like a broken record, right? I feel like I'm saying a lot of these players came on, did their job, but were pretty ineffectual. Anton Leonard, brought that capacity to bring something different, but didn't. So yeah, I mean, I think a 6 out of 10 is potentially a fair score there for Anton Leonard Brown, which brings us, that's it. There we go. Finished and klar. It's the end of the player ratings. So we're gonna stop the sharing there, and it's just gonna be me. Guys, thank you so much. I mean, there's not much more I can say. It has been a phenomenal Rugby World Cup campaign, and we are so blessed to have you here with us on rugby, on Forever Sports, on Forever Rugby. As Scott Wood says there, lekker. There's not much more to say. It has been lekker. It has been a World Cup for the ages. There will be the haters there. Or even Faye says it better. Delish. It's been delish. It's been phenomenal. As a Bok supporter, we have been through the roller coaster of emotions. We have been through beating France by 1 point with a phenomenal performance. We have been through beating England by 1 point with an honestly dismal performance. We have been through beating the All Blacks by 1 point with a performance. It has been a World Cup to remember. So, Joe, we appreciate you, Joe, saying here, hurts, respectful loss to the traditional rivals. At least we didn't lose the Commonwealth. Joe, we appreciate you. And this is what I love, guys, is that generally, there is this sense of respect around the game of rugby, and to have it against the All Blacks and to win once again, like in that 95 World Cup final has been huge. So, guys, that's it from me. As Jan HB Hugo says here in the chat, over and out, mission accomplished. Done. We've won it. We've done. All Blacks are defeated. The Springboks are the winners for 4 times back-to-back world champs. They have found a way to win. It has been phenomenal. I love you guys. There it is. Right? I absolutely love you. Absolutely phenomenal. And in shout out to my compatriot Rudy, whose battery has died. It has been a simply sensational World Cup, and we thank our partners in Don't worry, I got too excited. I hit my laptop. We're fine. We thank BitDefender. We thank BOYLESPORTS. We thank Forever Sports, guys. Sorry, I got way too excited there. But it's been phenomenal. So if you are in South Africa, I'm sorry, but what are you doing watching this? Get out there, have a jaw. If you are watching from abroad, guys, we appreciate your support here. Please hit a like on the video. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel because it doesn't stop now. We will continue. We love you all here at Forever Sports. Squadward laughing at me. Absolutely, mate. Sorry. I got too excited. I hit my laptop. We're not going to do that again. Guys, that's it from me. I could sit here and I could chat with you all night, but I'm going to go out. And there were a few of my colleagues supporting the All Blacks, so I do have some words to say with them. Have a phenomenal evening. It is the final goodbye from us here at Forever Sports from Rugby World Cup 2023. Don't worry, there is more. It is fantastic. Mario saying that Ek is in Dubai and on Ismail. Mario, have a phenomenal night, mate. I'm going to I was planning on trying to go for a run tomorrow morning, but that is going to be parked. Cheers. Guys, everyone, signing off from Rugby World Cup 2023 from Forever Sports in partnership with BOYLESPORTS and BITDEFENDER. We thank you so much. We love you. We can't thank you enough. And last thing I've got to say is go Bokke. Go Bokke! Ladies and gents, cheers.